Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94, back with another reaction video. Today we fit our actor, Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson. I decided that we're gonna do some Michael Jackson. I'm gonna give y'all a 3-in-1, so y'all just gonna get a 3-in-1 for today. We're gonna do Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson's history together. On Michael Jackson's birthday, I thought that would be dope. I'm going to do some more Michael Jackson videos I'm not going to do them for the remainder of Virgo season, but I definitely got like 2 more videos in tuck. And then after that, I think I'll stop with the Michael Jackson videos for a while, unless I find some interesting Michael Jackson videos. You know what I'm saying? It's Virgo season. Shout out to my Virgos out there. Virgo gang, we in the building. RIP to Michael Jackson. RP to Michael Jackson, most definitely, man. RP to the GOAT. Definitely got to show love to the GOAT. How can we not show love to the GOAT?
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Without question, man. But anyways, though, let's get right into it, though. Growing up Jackson, Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson. So I think we're just going to go from their origins as children, and then we're gonna go up to like the 90s because that was like their peak. So I think that'll be good, and then we'll just stop right there in the 90s. I know it's more, and I know it's a whole video, but I don't. That shit like 2 hours long. We're not doing that. I'm just gonna give y'all just 3-in-1. Enjoy.
At no other point in pop history have 2 members of the same family been able to dominate radio airwaves like Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson.
Not at all.
Although they shared the same last name and competed within the pop music scene, both were able to carve musical legacies that were very much independent of each other, despite constant comparisons. Like many blood relatives, they had a lot in common and shared an unspoken affinity. In private, both were shy, spiritual, and sensitive in nature. However, on stage, they cultivated a larger-than-life persona and were lauded as dynamic performers. Because Michael was first to attain superstardom as the lead singer in the Jackson 5 and later as a solo artist, achieved unimaginable success, ultimately becoming the king of pop. Many believe that, despite Janet Jackson's own accomplishments, she was destined to remain in her older brother's shadow.
Not at all.
Fiercely ambitious and determined to have her own moment in the spotlight, at certain points in their long-standing career.
Not at all. And if you say Janet Jackson is in the shadow of Michael Jackson,
In Jesus' name, fuck this nigga!
shut your stupid ass up, nigga. Janet Jackson carved her own lane, bro. She's done just as much as Michael did. I ain't gonna say from a numbers perspective, but shit, in her own fucking lane, shit. Give her flowers too, man.
Years, Janet's star appeal grew comparable, if not stronger, to her moonwalking brother, which, during difficult times, was employed to help soften negative press and improve Michael's tarnished public image. But with constantly evolving family as well as showbiz dynamics, what was the truth behind their sisterly and brotherly bond? How much of a threat did Michael find his baby sister when she started climbing the charts? And did Janet ever resent Michael for the relentless media circus and scandal that overshadowed her and her family? Did their common experience bring them closer together? Or did fame, success, and competition drive them apart? In this series of videos, we go deep into the years of private politics between Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson. But before we begin, check out our new collection available to purchase on.
Hold on, brother. Y'all ain't paying me. Y'all ain't paying me. Y'all ain't paying me. I'm sorry. Y'all go support, but they ain't paying me. Fuck out here.
Growing Up Jackson. Born on May 16, 1966 in Gary, Indiana, Janet Danita Jo Jackson was the last of 9 children born into the Jackson family. At the time of her birth, Janet's brothers were already performing together as the Jackson 5. So, unlike her older siblings, Janet never truly experienced their ordinary life in Indiana. As at 2 years old, Janet was whisked off to Los Angeles to join her family as they were developing careers in show business.
Damn.
Having signed a contract with Motown Records in 1969, her brothers would go on to rule the charts as the Jackson 5. And as a result, Janet grew up in the privileges that fame and fortune provided the rest of the family. However, with success also came sacrifice, as her brother's hectic schedule meant that they were often away from the family home. Whether on promotional tours or performing around the world, Janet idolized her often elusive brothers, as some of her earliest memories were seeing them perform to thousands, as well as watching their Saturday morning cartoon series. As a child, Janet remembers being happiest snuggled up with her siblings, telling jokes and watching television together on her mother's bed. With sisters much older than her, Janet grew up to be a tomboy, as she naturally resonated more with her younger brothers. And in particular, Michael. Janet always looked up to Michael, and whenever he was...
That's how it is. That's how it was with my first sister, because I'm the oldest, so I can understand how you can have a sister that can grow up to be a little tomboyish at times. Oh man, thank God my other sister came along, because they both had some girly things that they could share with each other. But outside of the girly things, I think my youngest sister was more of a thug, because I was raising them. I raised my siblings to be some thugs.
Was home, they would spend a lot of time together. Said to be most alike, both were inherently shy, sensitive, and bonded over their love of animals, with Janet developing a particular fondness for horses. As a child, Janet initially wanted to become a horse racing jockey, but her father was keen for his youngest child to go into the family business and pursue a career in entertainment. Even though the shy 7-year-old showed little interest in performing, Janet Jackson first appeared on stage at the MGM Casino on the Las Vegas Strip, singing and doing impressions alongside brother Randy in the Jackson Family Act. With cherubic looks, a sweet voice, and comic wit, Janet clearly shared a similar star quality to Michael, and she soon began acting in the family's televised variety show in 1976. Her performance earned her the attention of producers, who then hired Janet to play Penny in the TV comedy series Good Times. Quote, "I would set my alarm clock for 5:30 a.m., get myself dressed, and get myself out of the door for work 5 days a week," she recounted. Quote, "And for a 10-year-old to have that kind of discipline, there's a lot to be said for that." The television role also gave her an insight into the realities of working on set, but also exposed Janet to a world she wasn't yet prepared for. Constantly judged on her looks, these early years would have a profound impact on her body image that would continue to haunt her throughout her life. Janet Jackson's nickname, Dunk, was coined by her brother Michael because of her chunky build as a child. He would joke and tease her, saying that she looked like a donkey, while on Good Times, Janet was put on a diet. Quote, "I wasn't a heavy kid, but I was developing very quickly," she stated. Quote, "On Good Times, they would put gauze around my chest to make me smaller, and I think that has an effect on you. Things like that when you're growing up." Having a part in a hit TV show, as well as being the younger sister to the country's most popular boy band, might sound like every little girl's dream, but the reality was very different for Janet. Growing up in the spotlight brought a huge amount of attention, good and bad, as children would often befriend Janet, but only to get closer to her famous brothers, while others would resent her fledgling career in show business and question her talents. Asserting her last name had everything to do with it. Much like Michael, Janet found it difficult to find genuine friends and learned to inherently distrust others and their motivations. As a result, Janet's self-esteem took a major hit as she interrogated her looks, abilities, and inherent self-worth as she progressed into adolescence. As an adult, it has been well documented that Janet's older brother Michael mourned the loss of his childhood due to his early ascent into superstardom. Although fame and fortune gave Michael the opportunity to be celebrated for his talents, travel the world, and meet his idols, It also overwhelmed him with great sadness as he grieved the loss of his childhood innocence. As another Jackson child star who was performing on a national stage even earlier than Michael's 11 years, Janet has been asked if she has ever resented the career that was forced upon her at such an early age. Quote, "Who am I really to complain or nag about it? Because I had more of a childhood than my brothers. I still did lose some of my childhood, and yeah, I do think kids should be kids, but this was my life." After 2 years in a recurring role on Good Times, a teenage Janet Jackson went on to appear on another popular sitcom, Different Strokes. But when at home, it was Janet's job to take care of her brother Michael, even though he was 8 years older than her. Quote, "I would shop for him. I washed his clothes and cleaned his room. When Mother would go out of town, she'd say, 'I'm leaving you in charge. Take care of Michael.'" The siblings' bond remained close, sharing responsibilities in the care of their growing menagerie of exotic pets, and making night runs in the car to give out food to the homeless in downtown Los Angeles. Janet remembers Michael at this time as very sweet and gentle, intelligent, with a devious sense of humor. As they would often spend most of their time together in the house, Janet would naturally be roped into some of Michael's musical projects, including improvised percussion for his off-the-wall demos, as well as backing vocals on Michael's Thriller record. Having witnessed the success Michael was able to attain as a solo artist, it was at this time that Janet Jackson became more interested in pursuing her own music career. Michael was supportive of his baby sister's aspirations and encouraged her to read different books from his collection on acting, music, dance, and theater. But at the same time, the two were fiercely competitive with each other and themselves, as well as shared a keen interest in the business side of the music industry. With the guidance of her brother Michael, Janet's father and manager arranged a contract with A&M Records, and the 16-year-old released her self-titled debut album in 1982. However, the record did manage to cross into the pop market and received little promotion. Janet's second attempt, Dream Street, was released 2 years later and failed to sell as well as its predecessor. Even though the record's first single, Don't Stand Another Chance, was a family affair, produced by brother Marlon with vocal ad-libs by Michael. Ironically, Janet's disappointing debut onto the music scene came exactly when Michael's celebrity was skyrocketing into a new stratosphere of mega stardom, after the release of his Thriller album in 1982.
And you think that would help? What it should have helped, but I understand Michael was bigger than water at this time.
Janet, therefore, had the opportunity to see the pop star up close during this monumental period. Michael's little sister even helped him choose an outfit for the Motown 25 special, in which he was set to perform his new single, Billie Jean, taking a famously sparkly black jacket from his mother's closet. Quote, "If it was shiny, if it had any kind of bling, he loved it," Janet said. After it was confirmed that Michael's Thriller record had become the biggest selling album of all time, and Michael Mania had truly spread across the globe, the obvious question was, did Janet feel overshadowed by her glistening gloved brother? Quote, "No, never," asserted the young actress when she joined the TV adaptation of Fame. Quote, "Everyone is so happy and so proud of Michael. There is no competition between us at all." The Jackson sisters said that before her brother's much-anticipated victory tour, her hotel phone would ring often, waking her up in the middle of the night with people asking if she could get them tickets. Quote, "I had to tell them I was sorry that I couldn't help. I didn't even have good seats myself. We were way at the top of the arena," Janet said.
Fucked up. You would think she'd be backstage, wouldn't she?
As part of the 4th season of Fame, Janet played the character of Cleo Hewitt, but expressed indifference towards the role. Overwhelmed by negative press attention associated with the Jackson tour and family politics fraying at the seams, Janet yearned to break away, not only from her strict upbringing, but also from public assumptions made about her due to her family ties. As a result, the 18-year-old chose to elope with a member of another musical family, singer James DeBarge, with court records showing that the couple married on September 7, 1984 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Janet and DeBarge had been dating for 2 years, but were still insisting that they were just good friends. However, the Jackson family disapproved of DeBarge and wanted her to wait for marriage. Michael mentioned to others how devastated he was that Janet did not feel comfortable enough to tell him about her secret wedding because he perceived that they were closer than that. Once Janet moved back home, the relationship quickly hit the rocks due to DeBarge's struggle with substance abuse, and the marriage was annulled less than a year later.
Big fucking dummy. How do you fuck that up? It's Janet Jackson, nigga! Janet Jackson! How do you fuck that up? How do you... You gotta understand, it was the 80s. It was the 80s. It was the 80s. Y'all niggas was on that sugar booger back in the 80s. Boy, y'all was out there doing that. Boy, y'all was out there doing whatever it took to get that hit, boy. Y'all was doing whatever, man.
God, if you listen in hell.
But you gonna choose the drugs over Janet? You deserve everything you got, man.
Upon this announcement, Janet said to Essence magazine that the breakdown was caused by pressures from others. Quote, "They didn't like it that James and I went ahead and got married and didn't care what they said. People were telling us and lecturing us about that. So we decided to go ahead and get an annulment so that everybody would just shut up and let us go on with our careers. There's so much that I need to be doing." Even though the marriage didn't work out, by seizing the moment, Janet sent a clear signal to her father and the rest of the family that Janet was no longer the baby and was in charge of her own life. Her brother's tremendous solo success taught her that it was very possible to break away from her father's formidable grip, to thrive on her own, and create a name for herself, having always resided in the shadows of her showbiz brothers without any noteworthy success in her own right. This was now the time for Janet to firmly take her rightful position in the limelight and for the first time, take control.
Alright.
In this series of videos, we go deep into the years of private politics between Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson. First, a big thank you to all of you.
Brother, you're not paying me. Y'all not paying me, no offense. Support their channel, most definitely support their channel, but brother, you're not supporting me.
In the description box below. If you haven't already, check out part 1 where we delve deeper into Michael and Janet's family dynamics during childhood. Overwhelmed and heartbroken after her failed attempt at marriage, Janet asked to be released from her Fame TV contract and spent several weeks anxiously thinking about her next move. Jackson family ties had irreversibly broken down since her brother's victory tour, when after months of feuding and battles for control, her brother Michael abruptly announced on stage in Los Angeles that the band was breaking up, and this was in fact their last show. Janet described how after Thriller, her and Michael would never experience the same affinity as they had in childhood. Even though they both still lived in the Jackson family home, Michael isolated himself from the rest of the family, choosing to focus on solo projects like recording for his next album or working on his film collaboration with Disney, Captain EO. Wanting to break free from her bubblegum pop star image, Janet decided to make another album, but this time, she wanted a whole new sound that expressed her true feelings. When she expressed this to longtime family friend and A&M executive John McClane, he recommended Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis to help produce the record.
Motherfucking goats right there, dog. Gotta give them they props, man. Gotta give them boys they props, man. Motherfucking goats right here, dog. Give them dudes they flowers, man.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
That's definitely gotta give them dudes they flowers, man. They was dropping bangers in the 80s and the early 90s, dog.
Jam and Lewis were both, at that point, best known as prodigies of 1985's hottest music commodity, Prince, as they originally played keyboards and bass in the spin-off band The Time. And after Prince's steep ascent to pop superstardom, they were now at the forefront of Minneapolis' burgeoning music scene. However, Janet's father and manager, Joe Jackson, wasn't convinced. With the Jackson brothers disbanded, and after losing all control of Michael's future solo projects, the Jackson patriarch was hesitant about loosening his grip on Janet's fledgling career. Janet's father requested that the album be recorded in Los Angeles, where he could keep an eye on the project as well as his daughter. But Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis refused. The plan was for Janet to record with them in Minneapolis, far from the distractions of Hollywood and the interference of her manager father. Quote, "It was hard for Joe to let go of her. We required that they put her in our hands. We felt it was important to get her out of the protective fairy tale life she had been leading," Lewis said in an interview. Joe Jackson still wasn't thrilled with the arrangement, but agreed to let Janet go under one condition. Quote, "Don't make her sound like Prince." When Janet Jackson arrived in Minneapolis, she expected to get straight to work, laying down some tracks and recording her vocals. But for the first week, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis decided to take the time to get to know the young Jackson. Having just come out of a personal ordeal and with time to reflect on her marriage, family, and career, Janet was unaware that her new producers were busy taking notes that would later inspire the record's overall direction. Over a period of 7 weeks, Janet recorded and co-produced a batch of semi-autobiographical tracks. Outside of her sheltered family life in the showbiz bubble, Janet felt free to, quote, "write about subjects I thought girls could relate to let them know that they weren't alone. People feel that this line of work is so glamorous and there's no heartache and nothing ever happens to you." Musically, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis used their trademarked jackhammer minimalism, whiplash electronic tempos, and lean synthesizer riffs to give a new edge to Janet's small bird-like voice. Jimmy Jam said, quote, "All we ever tried to do is bring out the personality. Janet was a stick of dynamite, and we lit the fuse." In early 1986, Janet Jackson was reintroduced to the music-buying public with videos for "What Have You Done For Me Lately" and "Nasty," in which the teenage singer presented a new streetwise demeanor and cocky attitude that was very much at odds with the Jackson family's picture-perfect public image. In preparation for her musical comeback, Janet put herself on a strict diet and chose to differentiate herself from her brother's rhinestones by adopting a sleek, all-black attire accompanied with accent jewelry. Most notably, a key she would often wear on a hoop earring. A visual statement not unlike the sparkling glove her brother made iconic. During Michael's extended musical hiatus after the successes of Thriller, Janet thrilled audiences with a much-needed dose of Jackson on radio airwaves and on TV screens. Creating music video magic, Janet was able to, with the help of choreographer Paula Abdul, flaunt her dancing abilities in lavishly choreographed routines not dissimilar to the classic Hollywood musicals her and Michael watched growing up. Named Control, Janet's third album made a bold statement, and the record's biographical premise gave an insight into the personal dynamics behind music's most speculated showbiz family. Janet's latest invention raised the eyebrows of more sedate members of the Jackson clan, including Michael, who were concerned about Janet changing up her good girl image, believing that, especially as a young black female, Janet's aggressive, no-nonsense persona might turn off male DJs and make her unlikable to mainstream audiences. However, their concerns were unfounded, as Control grew to be a runaway hit, becoming Janet's first #1 charting album, with 5 of its singles peaking within the top 5 of the Billboard Hot 100 Singles chart, achieving her first #1 hit single with "When I Think of You." With his dazzling dance moves, Michael was able to amass an immense following of young fans. And now, just a few years later, Janet was able to recruit much of that audience with the same family showmanship but added in her own unique relatability with tales of teenage rebellion. In the days before Michael's Bad album, Janet offered audiences a darker, edgier shade of Jackson. After selling 10 million copies worldwide, Janet Jackson was clearly commercially very successful. But having always dreamt of winning high-profile awards, she was also ecstatic to be nominated for 3 Grammys and 9 American Music Awards, winning 2 for favorite soul single and female soul video. Quote, "I feel really wonderful. I've always wanted to establish my own identity without my family, and I feel so good I've done it." Ironically, to counterpoint Janet's stated position that she has seized control, speculation grew as to who should be taking credit for Janet's new wave of success, her father Joe or her A&M Svengali, John McClane. Joe Jackson said, quote, "People know I'm the backbone of the Jackson family. The problem comes when others try to steal them away. The wheels had already been set in motion for Janet. Anyone who jumps on the bandwagon now will be getting a free ride."
Brother, you pushed all your kids away with your controlling and manipulated ways, sir.
"If Janet listens to me and works a little harder, she'll be as big as Michael." Others credited Janet's newfound popularity to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis's Minneapolis sound, or Paula Abdul's talent in choreographing several of the promotional videos for Control, as she soon emerged as a star herself with a string of #1 hits. The tempting assumption being that Abdul was the real talent and that Jackson merely benefited in the videos from Abdul's extraordinary dance sense. Confronted with this, Jackson said, quote, "It sounds so selfish to say, but it bothers me that some people think someone gave me an image or told me what songs to sing or what clothes to wear. I'm not a robot. I want people to know that I'm real." However, another rumor that persisted within gossip columns and school playgrounds was that Janet and her brother Michael were in fact the same person. That her moonwalking brother was in fact orchestrating an elaborate publicity stunt, producing music and videos under the...
Y'all made up some of the dumbest rumors back in the... Y'all was really saying this back in the... Man, y'all 80 niggas got it, bro. Y'all 80 niggas got it, bro.
I'm so sick of these people. You know, oh! Then shut the fuck up in 2020. Yo.
disguise of his sister Janet. Just one of a whole host of outlandish stories Janet Jackson was questioned about concerning her brother, as she constantly defended Michael's somewhat bizarre behavior and changing appearances due to plastic surgery. Quote, "You know, so many stars do that, but the press picks on certain people. I think if more people could afford it, they would do it too. I see nothing wrong with it. Aging is a sad thing. I don't see anything wrong with staying young looking as long as you can," the Control singer said. Although Janet felt like her brother's immense celebrity overshadowed her own successes, later many saw Janet's influence reflected in Michael Jackson's Bad album and music videos, as both records featured stripped-down, robotic funk grooves. Jackson also went streetwise and echoed the gravelly, whisper-to-a-screech voice Janet adopted for Nasty, as well as his own tough cookie attitude, like a belated rebellion against the discipline of a childhood spent on stage. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe and watch out for part.
Alright.
In this series of videos, we go deep into the years of private politics between Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson. First, a big thank you to all of you who continue.
Y'all go support. Y'all go support. They ain't paying me, but y'all go support.
If you've missed it, check out part 2 where we investigated the motivations behind Janet's breakout album Control and her family's reaction to its incredible success. Now A&M Records' biggest selling artist, it was initially thought that Janet Jackson would build on the momentum she was able to generate with Control by heading back into the studio to record a new set of hits and then take those on the road as part of a musical tour. However, since music from Michael's much-anticipated follow-up album to Thriller were likely to dominate airwaves for the next year or two, Janet decided to take her time, so to avoid sibling battles in the charts and further comparisons with her brother. The hiatus also allowed her to untangle herself from her father's management and seek a new plan of attack in the pursuit for pop dominance. Quote, "People said, she's just riding on the coattails of her brother, or she's just a flash in the pan, or she's only successful because of Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jan, or Paula Abdul, or she's Michael's sister, or whatever." That really bothered me. It's the same with Michael. I remember the time he only got one major Grammy nomination for Off the Wall. He was so disappointed. You watch. I'll show them. When Michael had Thriller, I said, "God, I wish that were me." I was so happy for him, but I'd love to break his record. Rather than attempt to recycle her previous successes, Janet set her sights higher, to shed her pop puppet image and break new ground, in an attempt to broaden the confines of mainstream pop music. Ambitious in her premise, Janet's next record would address social conscious issues involving homelessness, violent crime, teen pregnancies, poverty, and racial conflict. The result being Rhythm Nation 1814. A well-thought-out, complex product with a serious side that continued the singer's bid to be perceived as more than an industry fluke. Upon its release, Jackson told Essence magazine that she has set up a board of directors in film, finance, music, and legal experts to give her guidance at monthly meetings. Quote, "I ask them, am I seeing the big picture? Are my goals realistic? Am I moving in a good direction? Even though I'm the one who finally decides I require a wide range of opinion." Driven by ambition, Janet had taken on the role of CEO in her pop destiny, with each aspect of her career having its own expert attached to ensure its success. And successful it was. Rhythm Nation 1814 became the best-selling album of 1990 in the United States and sold over 12 million copies worldwide. Breaking records as the only album in the history of Billboard's Hot 100 Singles chart to have 7 singles peak within the top 5, with 4 of those reaching the top position. During the project, Janet not only flexed her commercial muscles, but showcased her ingenuity in dance, performance, creativity, and cemented her status as a sex symbol with the release of her Love Will Never Do Without You video, shot by renowned fashion photographer Herb Ritz. Much like how Michael dominated music awards in 1984, winning 8 Grammys, his 24-year-old sister had her hands equally as full with 8 Billboard awards for her Rhythm Nation 1814 album, winning the year's #1 rhythm and blues artist, R&B albums artist, R&B singles artist, and Hot 100 singles artist. That same year, Janet achieved another life ambition by winning her first Grammy Award for Best Long-Form Music Video for her 30-minute Rhythm Nation 1814 film, which consisted of the videos for Miss You Much, The Knowledge, and Rhythm Nation. An award she beat out her brother, Michael's high-budget epic Moonwalker, costing over $22 million of his own money and including highly innovative videos for Smooth Criminal and Leave Me Alone. Janet was shocked to have won for her much more modest project, but still very happy with the honor. Although he wasn't thrilled that his records were being broken by his baby sister, Michael admired her mounting successes and confessed that he enjoyed her music, admitting that he would spend hours dancing freestyle to her tracks. The record's industrial new jack swing and crashing street sound effects would go on to inspire the King of Pop's later recordings that appeared on his next album, Dangerous. Not shy to take advantage of their high-profile family connection, Michael even asked Janet to collaborate with him on a song for the record. But Janet turned him down, admitting that even after her many accomplishments, she still feared that such a collaboration would be seen as her riding on Michael's legendary coattails.
Damn.
Despite how she saw herself, in the eyes of music executives, Janet Jackson was now one of the industry's hottest commodities, as demonstrated when she, in March 1991, signed a record-breaking $40 million 3-album deal, moving from A&M to Virgin Records, making her the world's highest-paid music artist ever. Not to be outdone by his baby sister, her brother Michael announced his own unprecedented deal with Sony Music Entertainment just days later. Quote, "We're married to him now," said Sony president Michael P. Sfuloff, as instead of signing with Sony as simply a recording artist, Jackson negotiated a much more intertwined partnership that had the potential to spawn sales of over $1 billion. Collaborating with Sony Music, Columbia Pictures, and Sony Electronic Publishing, the entertainer was expected to not only record music, but to have his hand in a range of endeavors, including films, television, and video gaming. Already in development was Michael Jackson's first Hollywood star vehicle, a big-budget musical action adventure of his own concept, written by those responsible for blockbusters like Edward Scissorhands and Beetlejuice, with sets by Batman's Anton Furst. And directors considered included the likes of Sir Richard Attenborough, David Lynch, Chris Columbus, or Tim Burton, an ambitious undertaking indicative of Jackson's determination to become an undeniable force as an actor as well as a visionary in filmmaking. Ultimately, the project was fruitless for the artist, and Michael Jackson was left unable to fulfill his aspirations to become a serious actor. Janet Jackson, who also wished to make an impact on the big screen, was at the same time looking for her break into film, but was able to do so through less ambitious projects. As in 1992, Janet secured the lead in her first feature film, John Singleton's Poetic Justice. Featuring an all-black cast, Singleton wrote the strong female role with Jackson in mind. In the film, Janet Jackson plays Justice, a hairdresser from South Central Los Angeles who writes poetry to ease the grief of watching her boyfriend gunned down at a drive-in movie theater. The role was serious and stretched her acting capabilities, allowing Janet to prove herself on screen and dispel assumptions that, yet again, she was given the opportunity due to her famous name alone. Quote, "They said it would be easier to do a musical or a comedy because people would accept me easier in those roles. But I wanted something that mattered to me," said Janet. Playing a character who had a rough urban upbringing, Justice's iconic box braids just so happened to be influenced by her brother Michael. As director John Singleton said that at the time of development, Singleton was shooting the video for Michael Jackson's Remember the Time. Singleton brought over some of the dancers from the shoot to meet and hang out with Janet, and they all became friends. Then the director suggested that Janet should have the same style as the dancers in the video, and soon after got the same Harlem-based hairstylist to come out to Los Angeles to do the same braids on Janet Jackson for the movie. However, despite the years Janet Jackson persisted to gain control, to prove herself and finally make it on her own, family dramas and constant comparisons continued. With Michael refusing to do interviews, and she being the next highest profile Jackson, Janet was often enlisted to act as the family's spokesperson. Whether to pass comment on her sister's Playboy pictorial, a brother's arrest, her parents' marriage, or Michael's changing appearance, Janet felt burdened by all the speculation and media circus that surrounded her whole family, as well as Michael's increasingly bizarre public persona. When Michael Jackson decided to break his silence and speak openly for the first time in a decade to Oprah Winfrey as part of a live broadcast in 1993, Janet expressed her relief. Quote, "I loved it. People finally got a chance to see him, how human he really is. It was wonderful." Janet was especially happy that her brother finally revealed on the show that he had a skin pigmentation disease that caused his discoloration. Quote, "The first thing people ask me about Michael is why he does that to his skin. Why is it turning white?" She said, quote, "I knew, but I couldn't say because I promised I wouldn't tell when he told me. I spoke to him on the phone after the show and said, 'You have just lifted the biggest burden off my shoulders. Now everybody knows the truth.'" Just weeks after the landmark interview, Janet showered her brother with adulation in a heartfelt speech during the 1993 Grammys, a ceremony where she was enlisted to honor him with the coveted Grammy Legend Award. And they appeared side by side for the first time since her rise to public prominence. Michael rehearsed a song to go along with Janet's speech and a retrospective of his career, but decided on the night to speak instead. Quote, "It feels good to be thought of as a person, not as a personality. Because I don't read all the things written about me. I wasn't aware that the world thought I was so weird and bizarre." Touched by the praise he received by the Academy, friends, and fans alike, Jackson revealed how he wishes to open himself to the world and let the public see the real Michael. Quote, "The last few weeks I have been cleansing myself, and it's been a rebirth," he said. As Janet looked on, she hoped that this moment would act as a catalyst in how her legendary brother was perceived, for the world to accept and understand him, and the overwhelming speculation to stop. With a brand new album, her movie debut, and an extensive worldwide tour all planned for the year ahead, Janet hoped that this would finally usher in the emancipation she worked so long for. Never could she have envisaged what laid ahead.
Boy against pop icon
Some
Michael
news
Jackson.
crews Michael Jackson like a criminal. Jackson's crime falls in Los Angeles.
Thanks for watching. Click subscribe and watch out for the next part as we investigate what reaction Janet had to Michael's allegations and the intensifying turmoil in the press, how it all affected her, as well as how she chose to support her brother during this difficult time.
We gonna leave it right here for right now, cause we don't get into that goofy shit. Not on this day. Nah, not on this day. Not on this day. We here to celebrate. God damn it. We ain't here to tear down. Like I said, I'm not entertaining that goofy shit. That goofy shit can go somewhere else. We ain't doing that over here. But anyways, though, that's just gonna about do it for this one. Most definitely, man. Shout out to Janet Jackson. Miss Jackson if you're nasty. But but anyways, though, shout out to Miss Janet Jackson. RIP to Michael Jackson, man. Most definitely, man. My Virgo brother, Virgo gang in the building. All my Virgos stand up. It don't matter if you are August Virgo, September Virgo. We all gang for real out here. And we'll beat the fuck out of any of y'all other niggas. Who want it? Who want it? Pisces, Gemini, Capricorns, Sagittarius. Who want it? Who want it? Virgo gang right here. What's poppin'? Knock y'all out, man. But anyways, yeah, man. Anyways, though, man, most definitely, man. Shout out to Michael Jackson, man. RIP to the GOAT. RIP to the legend, man. You already know, man. Gotta give the man his flowers every chance we get, man. This day only comes around once a year, so.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
Most definitely, man. RIP to Michael Jackson. Shout out to Miss Janet Jackson. Yes, that's just gonna about do it for this one. I will see you all in the next video. Till then, peace out.